Well, hello, welcome to another RiderCamTV video, and today we have got this well-weighted, just released BMW F900 GS. Now, this has been, I say well-weighted, it's been weighted for, isn't it? So it's just been released. It's got the adjustable shower shocks on the front, 21-inch wheel on the front. Beautiful 900 engine. Really quite basic in terms of bikes, but in terms of GSAs and GSs and that sort of thing. However, the technology and stuff in there is not basic. We say basic because they're more basic than the bikes that we've bought or people buy to ride, but they're anything but basic, these bikes. But this bike is more aimed at the off-road market, and it's quite high indeed, and we'll put all the specs up a little bit later in the video so that you can see, because as you know, we are not all about specs. So let's fire this beast up, all by the key. So you know it's a 900 or that sort of engine. It's not the opposed twin engine that we're all used to with BMWs, with the R9Ts, the R1290s, the GSAs, the GSs. But this bike is completely different. This kind of feels, on first sitting on it, kind of feels like the 850 GS or the 850 GSA. Also feels a little bit like the Tenere, that sort of thing. And this is all about off-roading, really. So let's go and ride and see what it's like. Hear that burble? You get that crack of the exhaust. Nice. Marks out on that F800. You'll see that in a few weeks, I'm sure. But in terms of GS, GSA, RT, it feels so different. And I have noticed that those pegs are really quite close to your legs, and the pegs that you're actually going to ride with your feet on are actually in a really nice place, but different place than most of the bikes I've ridden. Right, let's go see what it rides like. So, first impressions. Can you stand up on it? Yes, you can stand up on it. Whoa, it feels really nice actually. And I know that's like first impressions, but let's see what it does. Up to speed really quite quickly and nicely. Nice smooth power delivery. It's something that I've been a little bit surprised about, to be honest. I thought the power delivery might be a little bit lumpy, but it's actually really smooth. It feels nice, and I tell you what I like about it is that it feels like you're sat so far up. And I've had 7 GSAs in my time, hence the fact that I've gone to RTs, because my riding has changed. But on the GS and the GSAs, you feel high up, but then you've got all the stuff in front of you. And in actual fact, not having all that stuff in front of you makes you feel a little bit higher and a little bit taller. Now I know that we're only in a 40 at the moment, and I am getting some air on my helmet, so that screen's not deflecting an awful lot. But this is a bike that is totally aimed, really, at off-roaders, isn't it? This is a bike that is aimed at you riding off-road, really enjoying the bike, chucking it about, up over grass, up over gravel, that sort of stuff. And I could see that you could have an awful lot of fun on this bike, and it is really flickable. I mean, look at that. One thing that I do notice when you're flicking it about is this comes with knobbly tyres. Now they're not bumpy. Now you would imagine that there's knobbly tyres on the bike and you're going to be bobbing all over the place like actually it's really smooth, but you can spec this up and have road tyres on it as well. Now it does dip quite a bit, look at that, see how much it dips. So those forks are really light, really light. So just watch it if you're riding it for the first time. Apparently it's got a propensity, this bike, to get the front wheel in the air. Now, I like riding. I'm no expert, as you all know. I like riding. I think I'm quite a good rider. I can always improve. Every ride there is an improvement to be made. However, I have not got the skill to do any wheelies. I'm 5'10", and I can put both of my feet flat on the floor. Now, it is a long way down. Like I say, we'll put the specs on the screen of the heights and stuff. One thing that I do think about this bike is the handlebars are really quite forward. They're really quite a way forward. So it feels quite an unnatural position from what I'm used to riding as to where the handlebars actually are. But that's just something that you get used to. But these knobbly tyres, I was talking about those, wasn't I? Knobbly tyres, when you flick it over, there's a certain point that it feels almost like that sensation where you've got tyres that have started squaring off and it like tips you over. But visibility, oh my god, there's so much visibility here. It's like riding a naked bike. It has got a screen, so that screen's going to do something, I'm sure it will. But it sounds good, it feels good, and over and above anything else, I think it looks good. So what's the difference between this and the GSA? So the F900 GSA comes with the rack. You can spec it with boxes. This one doesn't come with the rack. I think the GSA has got a rider seat and a pillion seat. This one's just got one seat with no heating or anything like that. The standard BMW or Touratech boxes will fit on the GSA. Obviously they won't fit on here, but there is tie down, I don't know what you call them, tie downs ready for soft luggage and stuff if you wanted to fit those onto this bike, which is probably what you'll end up doing. Some sort of Lomo system or some sort of bag system like that for when you're on the trail. So with the GSA you don't get the Shoma adjustable front forks. The Akrapovic silencer that's on this one I think comes as standard on the GSA, but not on this one, so you'd have to spec that up. This one, like I say, has got a 21-inch wheel on the front, same as on the GSA, but the GSA will be more road orientated, I'm guessing. This one you can spec to be more road orientated by the tyres, which is a good option to have because not everybody wants to ride it off-road. Some people might want a bike that's got enough power to do whatever they want to do. They might do the odd green lane or a bit of off-roading but spend a lot of time on the road. This would be a nice bike. Seating position's strangely comfortable. Now I looked at the seat and I thought really quite a small seat, but in actual fact it's really comfortable. It's quite thin, so your thighs hang over the side of the bike, which is really good because then you can grip the tank, so there's not an awful lot of tank. I think it's something like 11 or 13 litres, but we'll put the specs up, so it's not going to take a huge amount of fuel, but it's a 900cc bike, so is it going to be really thirsty or is it going to be really economical? Not sure. My feet on the pegs, even with these knobbly tyres, there was no vibration at all. Likewise through the handlebars, no vibration whatsoever. My knees are 90 degrees and my back is 90 degrees. I'm going to turn those heated grips down because they are burning my hands off. So you get 3 stages. So off, 3, 2, 1, off. So I'll put them at 1. You get automatic lights, you get your TFT, but it's really quite a nice comfy place to sit. Let's stand up for a bit. So yeah, it feels really nice. When you stood up it puts you right in the right place to be able to chuck the bike about. That's quite nice. The seat's quite hard, but having quite a hard seat is actually mostly in the mind. It's actually quite soft and quite forgiving. I know that's very contradictory, but that's how it feels. The handlebars. Now I mentioned the handlebars are a little bit further forward than the the GS, the GSA, so you might think about having up and backs, but this bike is, I kind of guess, aimed for the off-roady type people. So standing up, they are in the perfect place. So if you were to put up and backs on there and then try and stand up, I doubt whether they would then be in the right place for you. How flickable is this? I've just seen that they've changed the speed limit on that little bit down to a 20 with a tiny little sign, and then it goes up to a 30, so oops. Do you know, I quite like the sound of it. It might be from that Akrapovic, but I quite like the sound of the, almost feels like, I don't know, a chunky sound. Almost something like a little bit beefier putt-putt, if that makes sense, like rather than a smoother sound. And I quite like that. A lot of sound coming up through the forks, which is good, but there's also a lot of visibility down through the plastics and down through the fairing. So when you're off-roading and stuff, there's going to be occasions where you're riding at not very fast, but you're going over gravel or whatever, and you're trying to traverse or navigate where you're going to go. Having the ability to be able to look down through is actually quite good. The controls, so handlebars, we've said about them being forward, but that's because if you're going to stand up, they're in 100% the right place, and I feel like I can move around the bike really quite well and keep the bike doing what I want to do by putting weight on the pegs, counter steering, all that sort of stuff, but the handlebars are just in the right place. It comes with, as standard, these metal bars, much like Barkbuster type things, which is really, really nice. And the handlebars are quite wide, which is a nice thing to have, that it's quite wide, but it's not too wide. It's just the right distance. And I don't feel like I'm overly stretching. The only time I feel like I'm overly stretching is when I'm turning a corner slowly, that sort of thing. But then that's down to the fact that I've got a different bike and it's a different style of riding, you know. So up front you get the TFT, you've got a DIN socket on the left, a USB socket on the right hand side, so that's good, and it comes with the bar so you can mount your stuff on there. If you wanted to mount your BMW sat-nav stuff on there, it does come with BMW sat prep, or you can spec it up with the preparation for the sat-nav if you wanted to, and that fits on the bar there. But I like the fact that the bar comes as standard, because not everybody wants to use the BMW satellite stuff, so that you can use different things on there. Some people will have tablets for the tech trails, that sort of thing. Some people will have just a normal sat-nav. Some people might decide to have a Chiggy system, like we reviewed a few weeks ago. Awesome system, and that would fit on there just right. The colour scheme, it's almost like the M Sport, isn't it? But it looks good. So mirrors are good. Standard BMW mirrors, seen across the range. Switch gear, standard switch gear. Don't get any cruise control on this one, but I'm guessing if it's focused on people using it off-road, why would you need cruise control? It's something else to go wrong, isn't it? Something that you don't need. So this is chain driven, but it's as smooth as a shaft drive bike, which is really, really nice. And the finish on it, I think, is really nice. I like the It's almost like a matte, sparkly blue that fits really well with the white. And it's actually a nice, comfortable place to be. The throttle, yes, if I pull it down, it's going to shoot me off, but it's not like a bitey throttle. And you might have seen a week or a couple of weeks ago, I took out the R12 and that accelerator or the throttle is really quite bitey. So if you aren't on, it's either off or on, and it's kind of a bit jerky. This is actually really smooth. So I don't know what those magicians have done with the engine, but it's really quite a smooth thing to go on and off. And I'm guessing, I'm looking up at the weather and I'm thinking, well, it was sunshine earlier on and now it's hoofing it down with rain. But this is, it's an adventure bike, off-road adventure bike. It's got the knobbly tyres. I could go anywhere on this, ride down the beach if I wanted to, and we're in the weather that this lives in. This is going to live in dirty, muddy weather, isn't it? There will, of course, be an awful lot of people that will buy this bike because they want the looks of the bike and they want the way that it rides, but they're not interested in off-roading. It's really thin, so it's really nimble. Get in and out of a myriad of different places really, really easy. Filtering, I think, on this would be a dream because I'm still on my side of the road and yet I can filter past most of those vehicles and not cause an issue. It does get quite a bit, but I'm guessing that if you're riding off-road, that's something that you want to have. Now, there will be some people that say, whenever you take your bikes out, you never do much more than 20 or 30 or 40 miles an hour. We're not in these bikes to be racing around like mad. They're also bikes that have been lent to us very kindly by a really lovely dealership down in Falmouth called Ocean BMW. And, the bikes that we get from them and Damrels, they're not our bikes. They're usually new bikes. And to rag them just to get views, I don't think is very, very good at all. Someone will see this bike, they'll like this bike, and they'll decide, I'm going to go and buy this bike, or one like it, and it might be that they end up riding this very bike. And the one thing that I'm not going to do is rag the hell out of the bike just to get views. What we do is we talk about the fact that how it rides from a layman's point of view, how we enjoy it, whether we do, whether we don't, and all the little things that we're thinking about when we're riding it, rather than thinking about the specs and it's got this and it's got that and it goes this quick and you can get the wheel up and your lean angle's like 900 degrees or something. It's all about a layman's view of what this bike is about. And after riding it for a little while, I actually really like it. It's something completely different to what I'm used to. My RTs have got an abundance of protection from the wind and the elements. The GSAs had the same. They're very comfortable, like the RT's very comfortable. This is also very, very comfortable. Is there really a need to go out and spend 20 grand on a bike if this is what you're looking for? If this is the experience you're looking for, a bike that you can take anywhere, a bike that you can hustle in and out of traffic, you can use to go to work. Dare say this would be a really good touring bike as well, because you never know when a sat-nav's going to take you perhaps off the beaten track by accident. Well, would you actually be worried about it taking you off the beaten track? Don't think so if you had something like this. This is actually really quite a nice, comfortable, awesome, thin, manoeuvrable, pleasurable bike to ride, actually. And I didn't think I'd say that. I thought I'd get on this and think, well, it's nothing like what I like. It's not my sort of style. I could see myself riding one of these. I really could. So let's stop in here. A very damp car park. But this might be the chance to go off-roading. Look at this. Right, so bit of off-roading, I think. 。 . 。  . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . That's the extent of my experience of off-roading. I know, you're all saying, what an expert, Toby. What an expert. How well you traversed all of that minor gravel. It was enjoyable. Hello?
Oh yeah? Is that a beach hook behind you?
Yeah. And with all that grey stuff in there, but it's blown over for the minute because, look at this. This is the BMW F900 GS. Just released.
Nice.
Yeah, I know.
It is nice.
Now, I expected to get on this and think, what a load of old junk. Because the engine's very different. It's not the opposed twin. It's not like a inline six or smooth stuff. I thought it's going to be really lumpy. Then I saw the tyres and I thought the knobbles are going to be like riding along. I couldn't have been more wrong. I actually really like it. And I know that there's lots of people out there saying, well, you would like it if BMW are letting you have them ride. We're only talking about our experiences, aren't we? And I said when we were riding around, the specs don't mean anything to us. We're just lay people, aren't we? Riding the bikes. Yeah. And talking about our experience. So, the bike itself. Firstly, I think it looks really quite special. Now, some of it might be the colour scheme, and the colour scheme is like this matte, shiny blue and the white and the red. Yeah, there's no other colours there, are there? I haven't listed it. No. But it looks really nice, and it looks quite evil. And I thought, 21-inch tyre, the last time I had a 21-inch tyre that I rode on a bike, and I thought, this is weird, was on the Africa Twin. And I didn't really like it. This one, didn't notice it at all, but I expect I'd noticed it because you would have seen at the end of my little bit of a ride, I did some expert off-roading on this extremely off-road car park.
I think Simon Pavey would have been impressed by that, mate.
Well, you know, but really like it. So the one thing to be said is this is a taller bike than usual. So I'm 5'9", 5'10". I can get both feet on the floor. But it is a tall bike, and I don't think there's much adjustment at all on it, is there? I think you can get a lower seat, but that's about it. But then you're going to spend most of your time stood up, aren't you?
This is an off-road bike, I think.
It's definitely aimed at, I would say BMW would say it's aimed at off-roading, wouldn't they? I reckon it's aimed at somebody who doesn't want something in their head as heavy and as big as a GS, a GSA to go road riding, because this is more than capable, but it's probably aimed at people that want to do just off-roading, or want to do a bit of road riding but do a lot of off-roading, or want to have a light bike that they can flick about, that's got loads of power, that's really smooth, that's a BMW, that if they want to do off-roading they can. But there's a GSA for that as well, isn't there?
I think this is off-road biased, and it's up against
Tenere?
The Tenere and the Africa Twin. I can't remember which one it is now, but not the one that has the panniers with it. It's the off-road version of it, if you want. And it's so a 900cc. It's right in the middle. Yeah. Because the Africa Twin is 1,000. The Tenere is 700.
Yeah.
Is it the World Rally Raid, something like that? And you've got the Ducati in there as well. So it's right in the middle of it. So, compared to the Africa Twin, what would you think?
I would have this over the Africa Twin. And I don't often get stuck for words, but you've kind of like sucker punched me with that question. Why? I don't know that I could tell you why. This feels lighter. I don't know whether it is. It feels lighter. The Africa Twin, I feel, has got the screens on the front, which makes it feel really old. Even though there's new technology in it, the Honda are very much like, let's make a really spanking great bike and almost put older style stuff on there, whereas this is familiar to me.
The Africa Twin has a history, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that's probably why they've done that, where this is a blank canvas.
Yeah, and things like the TFT is quite familiar to me, isn't it? So it doesn't feel like I've got on a completely different bike, but it does when you ride it. So the seating position, 90 degrees, it's so comfortable. The handlebars are slightly forward. Now, going around corners, you feel like you're stretching a little bit further, so you have to move on the bike. But then I thought, well, why? But if you're stood up on the bike, and I can't stand up on it because, well, I can do. It's now, the handlebars are now in the right place. So I suppose if you're not going to do off-roading, you could get up and backs. But then if you do then do off-roading, you're not going to be in the ergonomic position, are you? That BMW have thought that you should be when you've stood up. And even these things, the levers are angled down, aren't they? So they're very much more do everything bike, but this is for going through really horrendous off-road car parks like this.
No, we know that they've put knobbly tyres on this because it's come from the factory like this, but they are getting road tyres for it, and I think that would transform the way the bike rides. But you can see this is the off-road version because it's got adjustable shower shocks.
It doesn't come on the GSA, but it comes on the
GSA version of this. It doesn't have that. That just has all the normal electronic gizmos, a bit of loading at the back.
And how it's set up at the moment, look at that. Look at that.
Did you find any dive when you were braking?
Not necessarily dive when I was braking, but when you come to a stop, if you don't release the brake just a little bit, then it does dive.
I found,
but not a horrendous, uncontrollable dive.
Because this reminds me of the baby GSA. I used to have the 850, and it took me a while to get used to the bit of dive on the front when you were braking, because on a GS, the big 1200s, 1250s, you've got the Techalogic suspension, so you don't get that.
Yeah.
But I do like it. I like the little screen, which is not adjustable.
No, it's not adjustable. There. But if I get off the bike, well,
if you can get off the bike.
Actually, let's start this monkey up.
I'll come away then.
Nice. Hear that crack at the end?
This comes with a standard Akrapovic.
Well, I can't remember whether they said this comes with standard Akrapovic or whether it's the GSA that comes with it.
No, this comes with Akrapovic. The GSA doesn't have it, just has a standard.
But you can spec it up.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah. Now, this hasn't got a rack for luggage, the metal one, but it's got these hooks that you can put on soft luggage, and I'm guessing that's what people are going to do if you're going to buy this for off-roading. If you were thinking about buying this to do the normal stuff on, the tank is smaller, so there's not got that much range.
Did you say a 13 litre tank?
Something like that, so it's not hugely big. Whether or not it would be more efficient on the fuel that it uses than a bigger engine, I don't know. But
I found on the 850 I was getting about 64 miles to the gallon out of it. And then on tour I got up to 92 one day.
Wow. Mind you, on the GSA I had 74 or 75
points. You're just bragging now, aren't you?
It's great, isn't it? But there's nothing to say that you should fit into the bracket the BMW say that you should fit in to buy these bikes. I've ridden it and I've been a little bit blown away actually about how much I enjoyed riding it. I thought that it was going to be just a boring piece of new bike. Actually really liked it. When you get into the mindset of what it's made for and how you can use it in your life with the bits that it's done, I think it's really, really nice. The seat looks incredibly uncomfortable. But it's really comfortable. There's a lot of movement in there, a lot of bum sinkage.
Bum sinkage and buttock cupping.
But it's nice and thin that it doesn't make your inner thighs ache. Like on some bikes, they've got two wider seats. These go in so you can grip the tank. And that's one of those things you need when you're off-roading.
Yeah, yeah.
Got good pegs on there so you're not going to slip. There's none of this rubber rubbish. It's proper metal on there because you don't want to be slipping off them. And it's got a chain. And I don't mind chains anymore. It just
does look nice.
Really, really nice. And then when you come up to the switchgear is exactly the same as normal switchgear. It hasn't got cruise control. But then if you're off-roading, do you really want cruise control? Really. Standard stuff. It hasn't got keyless ride, or I think you can spec it up to keyless ride. I don't know whether if you were to spec it up that the heated bars will then change for the on-off button that they seem to be going towards now, and then that'll be somewhere else. But I quite like the idea of having a key. And I know on Barney, my RTP, I ride with the key on there all the time because I need to start the bike, but I know I've got the key with me. Then you got the standard TFT. It does exactly the same stuff as the other TFT stuff, but it comes with this bar as standard. So you can spec it up to have the BMW sat prep on it.
The Nav 6 or the new, whatever it is, the new one that's massively expensive.
Yeah, but the satellite preparation you can have to fit on there. Or you could buy a Chiggy. Is that camera gone like that?
No, I'm holding it because the bike...
Oh, of course, yeah.
Because the bike is like that.
Like that.
No, I just thought it would be better, more aesthetic if I held it like that.
So you can spec it up with the BMW sat prep on there, or you could get something like we've had a look at, the Chiggy, that sort of thing. That would fit on there lovely with cameras and stuff.
Like,
you know, just saying. The lights, all LED, I think, aren't they?
Yep.
Hang on.
It's a nice looking light, actually.
It is, isn't it?
Ooh. It will be flickering, but it's just the
frame rate on the camera.
Yeah.
And the indicators are not these always on things. They are indicators, which is nice.
On the back, you've got the we'll come around the back.
Oh, we've got those.
Horrendous.
I'm joking for all those people that like it. But if you can see, the multifunctional lights we had a problem with had far less orange, didn't they?
Yep.
This actually fills in. So now you have no back rear red, but you get the rear reds on those multifunctions. I'm not sure, I can't see. But
you have to do that again. Take the indicators off. We'll explain the lights again. So we've got no massive rear red light. We've just got the brake lights and the two little things. But I'm not sure I like that. I'm not sure I like that style. But I can't see what you can see in the camera because I'm holding onto the lever as to whether, when you're indicating, bear in mind the indicators fill up more of the space than they did on the old ones that had an issue. When you're heavy braking, would you see that? I'm not sure. If you turn the hazards off, there is a definite light there, but I still think it's being dazzled out a little bit.
So I would have liked them to have that, but I guess in an off-roady type bike, it's less to brake, isn't it?
Fine.
And if one of them snaps off, I'd just say, just go and buy another one. It's probably about £7,000.
Take your leg off.
Yeah, just to exchange it for one of those, but you can get one. This is nice and high. All of the mudguardy bit, or all of this is really high, and it actually adds to the look. But obviously this is going to be much more functional for those hippie riders that are going to be jumping over things and need all of that ground clearance with this pan that's metal and all of that sort of good stuff.
Just looks nice, doesn't it?
I don't think I can say much more about it other than
good, because it's going to start raining.
Yeah. If I was looking for another bike, and I've got two, there's no room in the garage and the funds are depleted, far from it, because we make no money, I think I would consider this one. I'm not sure whether I could consider the GSA because of what we do with our bikes, but a fun hack, a serious hack. So it falls right into that position of, I want to buy this bike because I want to flick around and I want a BMW. This is the bike to get. If you fall into that, I do green laning all the time, I do off-roading, and I only want that sort of bike. This probably fits into it. You're more the expert. This is just how we feel. I actually really quite like it.
I do.
I really do. Pitch this against an Africa Twin, the Tenere. If I had them all in a line, I think my eye would be drawn. Oh, and is it the Ducati Desert thing with the?
Oh no, that's way out.
But I really like the look of those lights. But if I had all of those lined up, I think I would look at this one first, because the striking angles, colours, the way it looks.
You realise we're going to be burnt for heresy there, don't you?
Probably, but hey ho, the comments are there to be used, aren't they? We are very fortunate that we have one of those buttons that says delete on it. But anyway, it's a great bike. Have a look. Go and ride one first, because you might be very surprised. You might be discounting this bike completely. Go and ride it, see what you think. Only you will know what you like to ride. Despite all of us YouTubers and people going around saying, this is the best bike ever, it might not be for you. Go and try it. Anyway, thumbs up, subscribe, all that jazz, and we'll see you perhaps in the next video that might not be so rainy. Don't know.